Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome, everybody, to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Thursday, so you all know what that means. We're going to have another educational presentation tonight where we will continue to intentionally educate our community with information that sometimes our community just don't get. So a phenomenal presentation that's coming up tonight. With that being said, just want to update everybody on the programming. Tonight's presentation originally was supposed to be re-entry with another presenter who had to cancel at the last minute, but tonight we are blessed to get another powerful presentation tonight to step in for today, and we'll get Miss Carolyn back on a later day to do re-entry. But this is going to be a phenomenal presentation tonight, and the topic is banning the box with our legal aid service. So we got a phenomenal sister that's going to be coming up, and we're going to introduce her shortly. With that being said, we're going to jump into our announcements and some of the things that's going on in the community before we jump into tonight's segment. But first, with that being said, I want to give a huge shout out to East Oakland Collective. Today, both sides of the conversation, I was out there in community with them. What a phenomenal group of people, powerful organization making impact in our community, blessing the community today, giving out pantries and foods and different things of that nature, making sure that our community has the things that they need. As you all know, our community is being impacted in all ways right now economically, and believe me, people appreciate being able to pull up and get some of the household products and things that they need, some of the organic food, being able to support and bless our seniors. I love the organization skills and how they made sure our seniors of the community were able to get their things that they need, and we supported them. And I just love the work that they're doing, and we're looking forward to doing further things with our folks over there at East Oakland Collective. We're going to be doing some stuff in the future, some amazing stuff. We ain't going to talk about it now. We're going to let the cat out the bag, but we're going to show people. Again, this is what this is about. We're about community. Again, as I said on Tuesday night, we have to learn reciprocity, and we need to learn how to not work in silos and work collaboratively and not competing. So it's a lot of work, and hopefully with some of the things that we're going to be doing with them and some of the other organizations across the Bay Area and beyond, we'll be able to start changing that model, showing people what it's like. A lot of people say you can't do it. I believe you can. It just takes a lot of teamwork, effort, and vision of the folks. Again, the work is about the people. It's not about individual egos. It's not about entities. It's not about trying to be the best seen and best heard. It's about the people. So when you're in this work, make sure you're about blessing the people. We don't care about likes and followers and all of that stuff. We're about making sure that our community is impacted with resources and information that they should be getting from organizations and from leaders of the community. And we're going to make that happen. So we're looking forward to collaborating with them and a number of organizations, but we'll get more of that information out later as we work through this stuff. to make sure that we bless our communities, and we're going to do that. And I'm looking forward to what's going to come place and how our community is going to be impacted. With that being said, federal judges pause. They strict the Texas law banning most abortion. The federal judge on Wednesday granted the Justice Department request to halt enforcement of the recently passed Texas law. So I guess all of the marching and protests made some impact. We was out there on Saturday at the Pro March. And, again, when we come together as community and make our voices heard and we walk in solidarity, we are talking about solidarity campaigns all over the place. As community, if we get out of who is who and what is what and just come together for these issues, we can make change. Those marches across the nation has impacted the change that took place. So the stuff that was going on in Texas is on hold. We'll see how long it goes. But again, when the people stand together, things happen. So just excited to see that taking place. And again, for our community, Black and brown community, if we could come together and we could march together and we could protest together and we could do all the things that we need to make things impact our community, the stronger we are when we walk together. So just, take notes from that. And definitely the boycotts and holding our dollars back, definitely be a part of that. With that being said, some concerning news. There's about 200,000 COVID-19 rapid test kits recalled over concerns of false positives. One of the corporation, Eline, is recalling 200,000 rapid at-home COVID-19 tests out of concerns of abnormally high rate false positives. The Department of Defense is looking into that. They believe that there's about 427,000 kits that went out. Sad to hear that information. I know a lot of people were trying to take their test at home, and we're not there yet. But I mean, hey, it sucks, but we got to do better. So again, they're going to be recalling some of those. So if you're one of those folks who bought one of those home test kits, please make sure you find a COVID test center or something from the public health or from a hospital to retest, just to make sure that you're not actually positive, or that you got to notice that you was positive, you might be negative. Just double check. When you hear this type of stuff, it kind of frustrates you, but we got to keep doing our part. I know people like to do their own privacy in their home. But again, try to go to the test centers and get tested so that you have the right information. With that being said, a former McClymonds Oakland High assistant principal sues the Oakland Unified School District for alleged discrimination and retaliation. According to news outlets, the prominent administrator at West Oakland McClymonds is speaking out about alleged abuse of substandard conditions and things that's impacting African-American high school. It was a federal whistleblowing complaint that went out, and the principal is going after the school district, and I guess the principal was fired. As you heard earlier on Tuesday, there was a Tesla worker who filed for harassment and discrimination and won $137 million lawsuit. So again, these type of unsafe and disappointing things that's happening in the workplace is still happening. And hopefully that principal who whistleblew get an opportunity to get their job back or get some kind of settlement. And it's unfortunate when these things continue to happen the times we in, but we got to stick together and stick up. We can't go to work and feel some of the harassment and the bullying and the things that's taking place in our workplace. We get so many emails and complaints about what's going on for a lot of these organizations and city departments. And, we have to do something. It's going to take community. People should be able to go to work, no matter what, and have a safe working place. And if things are not right, should have the right to speak up without being retaliated against. So we'll do our part here at both sides of the conversation to continue to make sure that we educate the community, try to bring the community together, and we'll do our part to reach out to the different legal entities to come on and just educate our community how to protect themselves if they are dealing with that in the workplace. With that being said, some of the community events going on, it's a number of events going on. We'll be at a number of events this weekend, but the Family Support Service, free child care for Cal Work participants is still happening. Please contact Katina Brooks at the Child Care Support Center, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they have some after hours information as well. We'll get that on the screen as we get through tonight's presentation. But there is a number that you can contact if you're one of those families who need that type of support with child care. We'll get you this family support services information, and hopefully we can get your family impacted with some help or some services through the CalWorks program. The Indian Basin is still providing high-speed internet, free Wi-Fi, laptop usage, and technical support every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're trying to write a resume, you're trying to understand how to use the internet, emailing, they have some powerful young folks and folks out there that's educating our community how to navigate these computer systems. And they have some professional people out there as well that will be helping people with resumes and looking for jobs and how to navigate the internet. My brother Kurt out there and Chica and a number of the APRI family will be out there. It's at Indian Basin Park. We'll get that information for how you can connect. If that's you and you need that type of services, we'll get it up there on the screen here shortly. And then this Saturday, the East Oakland Collective, phenomenal organization. They're putting together a bike ride and creek cleanup. We'll be out there, both sides of the conversation, help cleaning the creek. And then there'll be a resource fair and party afterwards where there'll be music, food, and fun, and just, hanging around with community. So that'll be a great event. We'll be out there to support that event, as well as a couple other events across the Bay Area that we'll be at this Saturday. So we'll see y'all out there in the community. Also this Sunday, a number of events is going on. One is we want to say happy birthday to Dr. Carolyn Scott, man. She is one of the pillars of our community. She is celebrating her 75th birthday Motown party at the Bayview Opera House in San Francisco. It will be held at 4705 3rd Street. There is a RSVP required, and I'll get that information out. We'll be out there from 2 o'clock, and we'll be trying to go live to support our sister. She does so many things for our community and educating our people, and we want to be out there. This is a special day for her, and we're going to show up both sides of the conversation and be out there at the Bayview Opera House with her as well. Also, the New Roots Festival is happening Saturday and Sunday, October 16th and 17th, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Bravo Theater Center at 2781 24th Street in San Francisco. If you want to see some Black theater work, there's some phenomenal folks that's going to be putting some of this theater work together. Our own Rodney is going to be out there doing his thing, one of our mega Black family members, and the work that they're going to be doing. If you want to be a part of that, please sign up, check out their website. We'll get that information up on the screen, but it'll be a phenomenal theater presentation. And I will be out there as well as some of our both sides of the conversation team. So if you want to see us, we'll be out there supporting Brother Rodney and the work that he's doing under the Dreamkeeper Initiative. So phenomenal stuff. The San Francisco American Early Childhood Educators is hosting an event for the youth. It's free this Sunday, on Sunday, October 17th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., located at Lee Avenue, Ocean, and Holloway. I'll get that information up on the screen, how you could connect with them. We are so proud of our OMI family, Maurice Rivers, and a number of the folks over there just doing the thing. We had our sister from IT Bookman on Tuesday night, and they're just doing some phenomenal work in OMI. The Ave Bar Ethnic Toy Group Drive is happening Saturday, October 23rd. From 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you would like to donate toys, we're getting ready for this holiday move. They're looking for people to drop off toys and things of that nature. I'll get the information up on the screen, but it'll be at 1607 Ocean Ave. People are starting to get ready for the holiday. We want to make sure our young people who've been suffering in the house during this COVID, make sure that they have some kind of experience for the holiday season, to have some toys and gifts and just convene with community. Also, this Sunday, we'll be out there at Mendel Plaza with the San Francisco Art and Culture District. We'll be there for the Hombre Block Party. It'll be a paint day. They'll be out there with festivities and dominoes and food and music. We'll be out there as well. Our team will be out there. That's starting at 11 o'clock to 5 p.m. We'll be out there. We'll be moving between Dr. Scott's event and the Hombre Block Party. So shout out to Erica Scott and the folks over there as we're getting ready for the part 2 of what took place at the Envy Cafe a week ago. Phenomenal event. So we'll be out there as well. And then the Ocean Avenue Halloween Block Party is also happening Saturday, October 23rd from 12 to 3 p.m. Our brother Maurice Rivers is putting together a phenomenal event for our young people. So please, community, if you want to get out in a safe environment and let your kids trick or treat and have some games and be around, it's pretty cool from 12 to 3. And Maurice will be putting that together. They'll be on Faxon Avenue between Ocean And I'll get his information up on the screen as we get through tonight's presentation so everybody can see it. And also, you could go to our Both Sides of the Conversation website, click on the community events, and you can find all these events on there, as well as sign up to our newsletter. And you'll get all these events with all of the contact information. So please go to our Both Sides of the Conversation website, bsotc.org, and check out the website and get some of this information that we'll have out to the community. With that being said, we're going to talk about some of our segmenting that we're having here at Both Sides of the Conversation. You all know every Tuesday we have a Hidden Gem segment where we highlight our Black and brown businesses, as well as we uplift those community leaders and organizations that are doing positive things to impact our community. As every Tuesday. And then every Thursday, like tonight, we have an educational presentation. We have different people come on and bless our community with some information through PowerPoint and put a presentation up. So that's what we're doing every Thursday. And then every Sunday, we have our community conversation. Every Sunday at 2 p.m., we have different topics that the community picks, and we go and find those folks to be a part of that to help facilitate those conversations. With that being said, this Sunday, we are talking about breast cancer awareness. We know breast cancer has impacted our Black and brown community, the women of our community. And, we're going to make sure that we bring that awareness to community. We're going to educate the community, bring that awareness and figure out what some of the struggles are. How do we help them and support them and get some of those resources out to the community, as sometimes our community has been impacted, especially during this COVID, with getting access to service because so many people have been impacted with COVID. So we're going to talk about that. I think that's going to be a great conversation. I'll be in and out. We're going to have Brittany Doyle. She's going to be up hosting this Sunday with LaToya. They're going to come in. I'll be out in the community, but I'll be in and out. But they're going to be holding this conversation. So I think it's just going to be great anyway to have those phenomenal women here with the women of the community to talk about it. We have some doctors that's going to come on and really just educate our community and bring that health awareness. We need to talk about these things in our community. We need our women in the community to get checked, and we want to make sure they get the right information and the right questions to ask when they go see their physicians and things of that nature. So we're excited about that. And then the last three events that's coming up for our live Sunday conversations on 10/17, we're going to have the Black Panther Party 55th anniversary. They're going to be here on both sides of the conversation. We're going to be celebrating with them. So I'm looking forward to that. And we are honored here at both sides of the conversation for having them select us to be one of the platforms to help celebrate their 55th year anniversary. So we're excited about that. And then on 10/24, we're going to have a domestic violence conversation. This is a very, very important conversation as domestic violence has increased during this COVID. You know, this is October, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we're going to have a powerful conversation. We'll bring on some survivors, some organizations, and some folks that are doing that work. And we're looking forward to that conversation. It's going to be very powerful, very triggering conversation, very emotional conversation. But we will be educating our community and making sure that the women and the men of our community get the resources and information they need to get help and support. And then the last Sunday of the month, we'll be talking about microaggressions in the workplace. We know this is a big problem. Y'all heard earlier in the comments about the lawsuit for harassment and things that's taking place. These conversations we got to start having. There's a lot of Black and brown employees that work for different places, and they deal with microaggressions in the workplace. And it's time for our community to hear about it. Maybe you have been affected by microaggressions, and I think this is going to be a great conversation. So we're looking forward with that. With that being said, before we turn it over to our guest tonight, I want to give a huge shout out to my guy Marco, Silent Tomb. Today, him and his beautiful wife had their baby, and we're just happy to have another young person a part of both sides of the conversation. So he'll be out for a little while, but he's going to be still here in spirit. We want to send prayers and love to him and his wife as they had a nice baby that came out and everything is going okay. We're still going to send prayers to him and the family as the wife recovers and try to get back to normal. So we love you, Marco. Silent Tool, you're part of the both sides of the conversation family, and we're looking forward to seeing the little one and taking some pictures with him and all of that soon. So enjoy yourself, and we'll be reaching out to you soon. He's a big part of what we do here at both sides of the conversation, catching all of the footage, doing the cameos, taking the photos, making sure that what's going on, we're making sure that the history is caught, and he's doing it behind the camera. So we want to thank Marco as he's a part of our marketing team, as well as doing all of our videography and photos for the organization. So with that being said, I'm going to close my mouth now. I know y'all tired of hearing about the announcements. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Ban the Box. We have a powerful sister. She was a hidden gem this Tuesday. She had to pull off, but we just blessed and honored to have her back here tonight. Last minute, this is what I'm talking about. When you care about the community, when things in the universe align, people show up. She care about the people. She care about the work she's doing. And tonight, this presentation is going to bless our community. So with that being said, I'm gonna bring up Katie Dixon, and she's going to come talk to the community about who she is and what she's doing to impact our community.
Thank you so much, John. First and foremost, I really appreciate those community announcements. Super, super important. Everything you spoke about the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Big shout out to that. I lost my mother to cancer, so big shout out to that. Big shout out to that microaggressions in the workplace. Absolutely. When I was out in the field working at some of these warehouse companies, there's all kind of microaggressions going on out there, so that's going to be super duper important. Folks definitely want to tune into that. And definitely big shout out to that Tesla victory. Big shout out to that Tesla victory. I can't say too much, but a part of that primary litigation team, those are some of the board members at the company I work for currently. So big shout out to that Tesla victory. I really appreciate those community announcements. And I want to again thank John and the entire production team for providing this platform. Again, providing those community announcements, and also for bringing on folks like me, giving us the opportunity to engage with the communities that need access to this important information the most. For the most part in my daily work, I do a lot of interacting with legislators, CEOs, business owners, and stuff like that. And I often just kind of feel like I'm missing my community. Some of the information I'm delivering to these key players in the game, also my community is key players in the game. So I really appreciate the platform you guys are doing with this right here. Big shout out to both sides of the conversation and the work you do in the community. Again, I'm Katie Dixon, that I go by KD. So KD is just short for that. I'm an organizer, I'm a community advocate, and I'm a policy advocate currently with Legal Aid at Work. I'll talk a little bit more about Legal Aid at Work when we get to the official, presentation and stuff like that. But as far as myself, I'm a formerly incarcerated person. And that definitely has allowed me to develop a rich, history with myself and be able to move into spaces that I do in a unique way. I am a mentor. I do mentoring to formerly incarcerated people as they are looking to different pathways to change their life. I kind of help folks unpack exactly what it looks like to move in new spaces, whether that's, dealing with imposter syndrome, whether that's, financial literacy. I help people walk through just all kind of personal stuff as a formerly incarcerated people when you're entering new spaces and kind of elevating yourself and navigating on new playing fields. And I am also a motivational speaker. I do a lot of motivational speaking, again, amongst the formerly incarcerated communities, whether it's at, group sessions, through community partners, juvenile halls, before the shutdown. So definitely some of that stuff is going to be before the shutdown. So I do motivational speaking, guest speaking, public speaking, testifying on bills. I'm currently guest speaking with some San Jose State University students to kind of educate them on the importance of social welfare policy and how incarceration and homelessness really kind of intersect with a lot of various different things in our society. And, I'm overall a criminal justice reentry consultant. I am heavily engaged in the criminal justice reentry spaces when it comes to policy, outreach, advocacy, again, mentoring, resource sharing. I love what we're doing tonight. So resource sharing, enlighten people on what's out there and what's going on. And so, yeah, that's who I am as a community member. And for the most part, I'm excited to be in a direct position to help influence positive policy change as it relates to criminal justice reform issues and also employment and workforce development issues for formerly incarcerated people like myself. We try to build pathways, out of poverty for us. We've banned the box. We're going to talk about that tonight. But we're moving beyond banning the box now. We don't want to just get mediocre jobs working in someone's, I don't know, warehouse or delivery service. And I'm not talking down on anyone's profession. I'm just saying we're looking to move in spaces that build opportunities for people to really be able to set themselves up for self-sufficiency and for success, to have access to personal wealth, personal financial gains, and how that translates down to generational wealth. Because again, as Black people, as The criminal justice system definitely has been used as a tool to help keep our people disenfranchised. When you get to talking the numbers for Black men, it's 1 in 3, and that's a pretty stark number. So, like I said, we are looking to move in spaces that create pathways to wealth and career pathways for folks. So we definitely moving past banning the box. And before I get to the presentation, I just want to make some other few comments. It's a lot going on right now in California. And in the past 10 years, I'm sure you guys have heard, if you're tuned in with your civic duties, California has led the nation. I said led the nation in implementing several notable criminal justice reform measures. And these measures have reduced incarceration rates, improved conditions in the systems, and we are absolutely moving in spaces that increase investment in community-based services. Our advocacy groups in California, we strong. We've utilized different approaches to achieving change, including co-sponsoring new bills through the California legislature, proposing new statutes and amendments to the state's constitution through ballot initiatives. We'll talk about some of that stuff. And advocating for amendments through the state budget process, how to redirect some of these dollars, Taken together, our advocacy groups with formerly incarcerated people really being at the table and really being head first in this game and really leading and really speaking for what we need and what we deserve. We've achieved significant reductions in California prison population. And again, like I said, really redirected some of this money. And we're really at the table when it comes to reimagining public safety. As of the beginning of this year, our prison population was under 96,000. That's more than 45,000 less people incarcerated than when these reforms began way back in 2011. And I'm sure everyone's familiar with that infamous 3-panel decision that came down and said, hey, these prisons are overcrowded, and that's violating several constitutional, constitutional duties. So absolutely, again, I'm proud to be moving in these spaces, and that's just a little bit about me.
Wow. Before you start tonight's presentation, because you did show up for Tuesday and we weren't able to ask you any questions because you had to log off respectfully. And, I just want to say I'm honored to have you here, because I believe in second chances. I do a lot of reentry work with our young people. And I think sometimes our community lose touch of some of the struggles, for our folks who are coming back in the community when we talk about access and, how to get set up and going, especially for someone who's been locked up for a long time, right? Just being able to access cell phones and information, right? Everything's going to debit cards, learning how to access, like you said, financially through using debit cards and things of that nature. So very, very powerful work. I'm always like, when people come on here, I give the utmost respect for people who do that work. And then to hear your testimony, being in that spot and to come back and advocate is just beautiful. So many times in other spaces, people don't do that. And that's one of the things that we always call out here as people climb the educational ladder and climb the corporate ladder. You have to come back. And, what you're doing tonight is that coming back, letting people know. And I always tell the folks in the community, our young people are watching. Right. And if we're trying to make this change, they need to hear these stories, because if they don't understand, they don't believe it. Right. But to have you come here and talk about that space and the things that you're doing to advocate, to give back, to fix this problem, because we know this incarceration thing is real, especially in the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco. I mean, we are hit the low population in numbers. But when you look at the homelessness and inside of our jails, we have the highest population. And, that model definitely of how we lock people up and discipline people when we talk about incarceration needs to change. And I'm not saying that people on the streets that's committing crime don't need to be taken off the streets, but I also believe there's some folks that we can use different models to help them, especially when we talk about substance abuse and mental health and some of those different things. How do we get those folks engaged? And just to hear you write policy and trying to fix some of these things, because people don't understand in these policies, sometimes the little things that we don't think about sometimes impact our community, sometimes for 10, 15 years. You can look back to the crack laws versus the cocaine powder laws and how the sentencing was done in our community versus other communities. You want to talk about drugs and drug addiction and drug sellers. When the opiate crisis happened, those folks were middle-aged white folks or young white folks, and they got treatment centers instead of prison. But when the crack epidemic happened, it was locking people up. So we know this justice system ain't right, but I'm just happy to have you here fighting for the people, doing the work that you're doing and making sure that our people get an opportunity to get access. And I'm just happy to have you here, and thank you for showing up, sister.
You're welcome, and I really appreciate it. And absolutely, everything you just mentioned, we working on all that. We trying to repeal that old 1996 crime bill. We holding Biden accountable. Biden advocated for that bill. He damn near wrote that bill. We're holding Biden accountable. That's why Biden is so married to this criminal justice reform, because we know about your past. Kamala Harris, love you. Black sister, vice president, same thing. We holding you guys accountable for some of the destructive policies that folks had a hand in playing 20 years ago that we still reaping the effects now. There's opportunity to get involved across all platforms. I definitely cannot cover it today. Following up, though, I know I'll be back. Definitely, I know people that's working on just about everything, and we really out here doing this work. Policy is slow. It's piecemeal. You know, I still consider myself new. I've only been doing this for about 5 years now, you know, and that's one of the first things I learned was policy is slow, it's piecemeal, and I also learned policy is the name of the game. For the most part, policy has been used to hold my people down and disenfranchise our Black and brown communities, and that's why, again, I'm humble and excited to be in a space to do this work, and there's opportunities for us to get involved, especially against formerly incarcerated people. So I'll shout out some of that stuff towards the end. And absolutely, I'm ready.
I appreciate it. So yeah, go ahead. Thank you again. And you know, policy, I keep pushing it. You know, these policies, we marched for George Floyd, and Congress couldn't even put the police bill together. So it is very crucial stuff. And we're looking for some of our city folks to come on and do some civic training, and some of our community folks to teach our community how to get involved with the process and make sure that our voices are heard when those policies are being made. And we got to be intentional. I know sometimes we don't want to get involved, but I think the thing is we have to go back to the education. So I'm glad you're here. And definitely, if there's any other folks in your network that you feel like, hey, they have something important to come educate the community, we need that. We need our community to understand the process, the whole pieces of the pie or the pieces of the puzzle that make that complete thing, and so that they really understand why it's important to vote, especially when we talk about our local DAs, our judges, and things of that nature, making sure that they understand that process and why it's important to make sure we get the right folks in there. So thank you very much, and you're more than welcome to come on anytime to share any new presentation or recommend anybody. This is what this is all about, community and the people. So whenever you're ready to jump in your presentation, go ahead. I'm going to give the floor to you, and you can go ahead and bless the people.
All right, I'm doing a screen share now. Chrome tab, got it. All right.
There we go.
Here we go.
It's up.
Okay, so I mentioned again, I am Katie Dixon. I'm the Fair Chance Community Organizer, currently working with Legal Aid at Work. Legal Aid at Work is a nonprofit legal services organization that has been operating for 100 years now, that's focused on providing free employment legal services to low-income Californians. And we provide free legal services related to employment discrimination across all platforms. And we'll take a quick look at that. And again, I mentioned a little bit earlier, outside of that, I'm also a mentor, a motivational speaker, and criminal justice reentry is definitely going to be my expertise. Again, here's that snapshot about Legal Aid at Work. So we provide, and I'm definitely emphasizing free services here to more than 3,000 people across California each year through our clinics and helplines. We offer extensive practical legal information concerning employment rights and trainings and online. We advocate for policies at the local, state, and we also enforce civil and employment rights by litigating in state and federal court. Today, we're going to be talking about ban the box, fair chance laws across California. Real quick though, I do want to start with a fast national ban the box snapshot. Currently, we have 33 states and over 150 cities and counties that have taken steps to remove barriers to, prevent employment to mitigate some employment discrimination that, disqualifies folks with a criminal record. Of these jurisdictions, 11 states, the District of Columbia, and 16 cities and counties have moved to extend their fair chance hiring policies to private employment. And we'll take a look at some of that stuff. I'm also very proud and excited to announce that we have, again, some national legislation here as well. The Federal Fair Chance to Compete for Jobs Act passed in 2019. Under that act, federal contractors may not request information related to criminal history verbally or in writing for positions related to work under the contract. And that's big news. That's definitely allowing and opening up the door for formerly incarcerated people to be able to, again, fulfill whatever promises and entrepreneurship opportunities that you have out there for yourself. The sky is definitely the limit. Real quick, before I get off into California specific laws, I definitely want to talk about Ban the Box as a movement. Big shout out to All of Us and None. This is definitely a product of organizing by All of Us and None. All of Us and None is a Bay Area-based grassroots civil and human rights organization fighting for the rights of formerly and currently incarcerated people and our families and communities. All of Us and None has been fighting against the discrimination that people face every day because of arrest and conviction history. The goal of All of Us and None is to strengthen the voices of people most affected by mass incarceration and to stymie the growth of the prison industrial complex. I also like to shout out that this movement started back in 2003. So these fair chance policies that you see now, that is now a national phenomenon sweeping the nation. This is taking 20 years for us to get to where we're at. This movement has also taken formerly incarcerated people to the White House. Ban the Box is the legislation that allowed formerly incarcerated people to get in the game of policy. This is how we learn, how to interact with legislators, how to approach allies, how to work with allies. This is where we learn how to build grassroots organizing, how to concentrate the leadership of those most closest to the solution. And now we are closest to the problems. That slogan came out of the early moments of the Ban the Box movements. Most recently, one of the big things we did here in California, the Ban the Box movement has absolutely expanded. We've banned the box in low-level employment. I mentioned earlier, we're looking to move into different spaces, being lawyers, being employers, entrepreneurship. We're also looking to expand into voting rights, jury duty rights, housing, and that's just to name a few. So Ban the Box as a movement is really taking off, and there's absolutely space for everybody to get involved. The California Fair Chance Act. A big shout out again to a product of organizing by All of Us and None. The California Fair Chance and Employment Act was established in 2018. And I want to educate the community today to let you guys know that this law established three things. There's three critical parts. It first off banned the box. So employers cannot ask about your criminal history before that initial job offer or throughout that initial interview process. It also established an interactive process. It's also called an individualized assessment. And that's going to be me as a formerly incarcerated person. That's my opportunity. And they provide me notice and the opportunity to respond. And it also legally established certain information as off limits. And that's going to be convictions that cannot be considered. What's not covered by Ban the Box? Absolutely. There's some exceptions. The law covers most public and private employers with 5 or more employees. However, the following employers are not covered by Ban the Box law. We believe that they are covered by the interactive process and the off-limits information. But again, I'm at an employment discrimination firm. We're currently looking to see this has not been tested by the courts. Here's the 4 major categories for which a state or local agency is required by law to conduct a criminal background check. That's going to be driving jobs. I think the airport is going to be a famous one there. I'm a commercial license holder. They're required to conduct a certain level of a criminal background check. Positions within a criminal justice agency, that's going to be what it sounds like: police department, district attorney's office, etc. As foreign contractors, how they made the cut, we'll talk about that later. And the last but not least, and this one right here is really important, and there's a deeper dive and a deeper breakdown, not in this particular presentation, and there's also further legislation around some of these sectors. But where the law restricts employment based on criminal history or requires a criminal background check, now that's different from the one I spoke about earlier. This is going to be positions that require you working with what we call the vulnerable population. And that's going to be three main things will remind you of that vulnerable population. That's going to be children, elders, people with disabilities. That's the main 3. And so that's going to absolutely cover your schools, your healthcare sector. It covers some financial sectors and some other areas involving firearms and things like that. Okay, folks, so that's going to be the 4 sectors that's not covered by the Ban-a-Box law. But again, there is current and future legislation going where we are working in these areas. We have moved into occupational licensing, for example. Okay, so let's get into those 3 components a little bit. Ban-a-Box. I mentioned on an application and throughout the interview process. So most employers are not allowed to ask about your conviction history on a job interview or on that application. They're also not allowed to run a background check on you before they offer you a conditional job offer. And there's ways to know if they did that. Again, that's for a deeper presentation, a deeper dive. That interactive process, very important for the breakdown here. This is the fair chance process. Again, I call it the individualized assessment process. So this law established that company, once they run that background check on you after offering you that job, they must look, let's say they find some information about you, they must now look at you as an individual and evaluate a few things, whether your specific convictions are directly related to your job duty and how much time has passed since those convictions. A quick example is going to be if I was tearing it up and robbing banks, I'm probably not going to get the bank teller job. That's directly related to the job duties. You know what I'm saying? And then again, how much time has passed since the conviction. My personal last time I was in trouble was in 2010. It's 2021. That's going to be, 11 years later. That's an easy case to make there. Initial written notification. The next step, that company, if the company decides to take back that offer based on the information they received, that company must notify me in writing by identifying the convictions that they have a problem with. And they must do that by providing me with the same copy of the background check that they received from whatever third-party agency that they decided to contract out to. The next step is I legally have an opportunity to respond. I must be given a minimum of 5 business days to respond. That notice must let me know that. That notice must let me know that I have an opportunity to include evidence of my rehabilitation and things that may mitigate the circumstances in my life. And again, there's a deeper dive and a deeper presentation to take a look at what that looks like. Now, after I submit that, that company must reevaluate me with this new information and say, hey, that, as far as Katie Dixon goes, was 11 years ago. Katie Dixon is now working at a law firm. Katie Dixon is now doing all these grand things in the community. Katie Dixon is rehabilitated. They have to take all that into consideration legally as a result of this law. And last but not least, they must provide written notification. That company must inform me if they want to go ahead and make a final decision and take that opportunity back from me. They must again provide me written notification. That notification must also inform me of my rights to file a complaint with the state government agency that has been tasked with enforcing this policy. And so that's the interactive process. That's the main way that the law functions. And that's what we call the fair chance process. And that's why it's called the Fair Chance in Employment Act. All right, folks. And the last and critical piece, off limits information. Again, I spoke a little bit about some of the work California has been doing over the past decade as far as criminal justice reform and reentry. There's been a lot of effort, blood, sweat, and tears and money poured into this whole notion of post-trial diversion programs, getting your certificate of rehabilitation and getting things dismissed and getting your record cleaned up, and so there's time for the state to look forward to some sort of return on investment as far as those dollars goes. And so this law legally established, once you've gone through that process to get your record cleared up and you went through a diversion program, that stuff is now legally off limits because, again, the state has put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into creating some of these programs. Here in San Francisco, we got Project 20. There's all kind of post-diversion programs. Folks know about those. So most employers are legally not allowed to ask you or use arrests that did not result in a conviction. Again, pre-trial diversion programs, dismissed convictions, certificates of rehabilitation, sealed convictions, pardons, your juvenile court history, that's been off limits, and minor marijuana-related convictions. That stuff is now legally off limits, okay? And again, there's a lot of opportunity and information out there in connections to free expungement attorneys that's doing this work that will help walk folks through a one-on-one sit-down process to take a look at your specific cases as far as getting your record cleared up and in the best pathways and avenues for the individual. There's all kind of people out here doing this work now. We've come a long way now as far as record clearance, reentry, and it's just a lot of positive things going on. I get sidetracked and a little carried away. Okay, another major thing that we are also out here really trying to really educate the community about, formerly incarcerated people, but again, employers. Remember, I mentioned we do a lot of work with CEOs and business owners and legislators and stuff like that. The difference between a rap sheet and a background check, those are two different things. And we get those confused, mixed, and intertwined because they do intersect, but those are two different things. And the people that have access to this information and the people that's disseminating this information in a way they're disseminating this information is completely different. And that's why we spend a lot of time educating people on the difference from a rap sheet and a background check. Just real quick, a rap sheet is going to be based off official government records. A rap sheet is going to list every encounter with law enforcement that you've had. It's only going to contain criminal history information and is generally confidential. As we compare to a background check, that's going to be based on an investigation by a private third-party consumer company. That's a different presentation for a different time because that gets real deep and real complicated. A background check contains limited criminal history information. Often, 9 times out of 10, it's all over the place and it's definitely not accurate. And it's not going to be a complete piecemeal, accurate piece of information to be relying on. A background check includes more than just your criminal record. It includes your DMV history. A background check also includes eviction notices, credit reports, all sorts of things. And then the most dangerous part is a background check is not generally confidential like a rap sheet. It can be seen by a variety of people. Again, public and private landlords, employers, banks, and for many reasons. So we do spend a lot of time really educating people on what a rap sheet is versus a background check. Okay, some positive updates as far as the banner box movement and where we're at as far as enforcement and things like that. Last year, towards the end of the year, we held a a statewide conference on this new law. This was the first statewide hearing that now I know about, examining a new policy and really bringing in formerly incarcerated people like myself. We center formerly incarcerated leaders who are active in this community, who's also faced, these discriminations. And we brought people in to talk about where the law stands, what it means to the community, also deficiencies in the law, and better ways to improve on this law, and better ways to support people that's impacted by this law. Again, ban the box is no panacea. It's no cure for all. It's just like any other law. People break it all the time. The speed limit is 65. On your way home tonight, I guarantee you're going to be doing 70. Okay, so it's just like any other law. It gets violated and broken. And so as a result of this hearing, the state has absolutely, at the beginning of in the middle of this year, 2021, around May, April, launched a new resource for people to report these ban the box violations. So big shout out to the DEFH. That's the Department of Fair Employment and Housing Agency. That's the state agency that has been tasked with filtering and enforcing this fair chance in employment law. And so this is a new resource, again, as a result of some of the backdoor late night conversations that we're having to engage with state agencies and stakeholders and employers and folks to kind of improve and look at different ways to go ahead and look at getting some real meat and teeth behind this. So again, this is a new resource. You can report these ban the box violations. If you look closely, it's not just jobs, housing, no HUD, no vouchers. There's a lot going on with policy these days in California. Another look at it, there's also ways where you can copy and paste that posting. You can put the URL in there. You can put the business name, number, email. You can also report these violations anonymously. So that's very important too. And we're proud of that, because sometimes it's hard for people to put their name and stuff on stuff out of fear of retaliation. But again, we're working on all that too. And as we're coming to a close here, as we wrap it up, again, I'm with Legal Aid at Work. We are a nonprofit public interest law firm that has taken the pledge to go ahead and get in a fight to help enforce this. So that's a part of what I do. I'm an organizer. I'm in charge of putting forward this statewide public education programming to educate employers, again, legislators, and also formerly incarcerated people. And also, too, we are here as a resource. We are here for the community to utilize, and we do that through our workers' rights clinics. So if you have anyone or you feel like you have had your employment rights violated as a result of your criminal record, absolutely, you want to go ahead and reach out to us at Legal Aid at Work. This is some of our current numbers right now. Because of the coronavirus, we are primarily working remote. We will be opening back up for some clinics and stuff in person next year. Right now, we are working remotely. And again, follow up with me. We will give my contact information out to the community. So if you want to reach out to me and to have your case looked at. Another thing I want to mention is Brother John talked about some very important things as far as discrimination rights. We not only do discrimination rights for people based on their employment records, we do racial and economic discrimination rights. I already mentioned, big shout out to that Tesla victory. That's a good example of some of the work we do. We do wage theft. So if you feel that you have been discriminated against as far as wages, you didn't get a promotion or something like that, absolutely. We help people navigate the UI process, and we also represent individuals as they navigate the UI appeal process. So again, we do a lot of employment discrimination work. My primary job, though, is just focused on folks with a criminal record because that's what I specialize in. So absolutely, if you got folks that feel like their employment rights have been violated, Legal Aid at Work is the organization you want to reach out to. And last but not least, I want to mention again that our services is free, and free. Thank you very much. I'm KD, community organizer, specializing in criminal justice reform issues, Reentry is definitely my lane, and homelessness is also another passion of mine. And with that, Brother John, Q&A.
Wow. Thank you very much. Very powerful information. I mean, that was straight to the point and definitely very impactful information. I know we had a question from community. They want to know how to they support what you do. If you could give some information how donors, sponsors, or people in the community, maybe volunteers, can help, just go to that number, or is there a way that they can go and support you all?
Absolutely. There is always opportunities to get involved to do this work. Policy again is slow churning. Again, I just want to go back to that 1994 crime bill. That was not an accident. And I'm not blaming the president. I love Biden. That was not an accident. You got folks they're called think tanks. I'm sure you guys have heard of these think tanks. People sit down and design policies that's going to take effect 10, 20 years down the line. That bill was passed in 1994. We're still grappling with the effects of those policies now. And I'm saying that to say we always looking for more people to get involved with the policy fight. We're always looking for more advocates, more activists, more community members that's willing to lend their personal story. It's a big ask to ask someone to come on up here and testify and tell your personal story, because there's a lot of trauma involved. You reliving what happened to your son or your kid or yourself. That's a big ask. So we're always looking for folks that want to not only just tell your story. Again, of course you can donate. Come on now. This is California. It's America. We're always looking for people to donate to the work. But again, past employment work, there's a lot going on when it comes to criminal justice reform. When you really think about it, there's a lot of nonprofits. We are partnering with, some other organizations and stuff, but it's really a small circle that's doing this work. It's definitely not enough people. So, follow up with me as far as some specifics on how to get involved, because there's different ways to support. It's not only money. We don't need the money. And that's one thing we teach in organizing, one thing to learn. When somebody got money, because they've been beating us with the money, we can beat them with the people power. And so those are organizing techniques. So it's not always about the money. So that's what I mean by follow up as far as specific ways you can get involved.
Wow, very powerful stuff. Here at both sides of the conversation, we're committed to that. If there's anything that we could do to help, whether it's outreach marketing, definitely we want to be a part of it. We know sometimes our folks, because of financial restraints, can't properly bail out or can't get the proper representation to deal with some of the legal practices that happen during the criminal justice process. Not saying that all people don't commit crimes, but there is a fair amount of people who are wrongly arrested or go through the process and doesn't get the fair support. So anything that we could do here at both sides of the conversation, whether it's having a community conversation, I mean, this is our educational platform, but I mean, just having a community conversation to maybe talk to some of the folks who have been impacted, we could do that. And then again, like you said, having any folks come on here to educate our community with different pieces of this pie. I know it's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of moving parts when you're talking about reentry, legal aid, services for the community, but we know our community is being impacted. We see the emails, we see the complaints of what's going on, especially in this time of COVID, especially as our baby boomers are retiring, age discrimination, things like that are really happening and impacting our community. So just shout out to you all for the work that you're doing, grinding behind the scenes, making sure that the residents of our communities are impacted. I see you all are North and Southern California. So these services are all over California. And, I know you all probably have connections with folks from different states and things of that nature, but just happy to have you here in space to talk about this. I think this is a very powerful conversation. And I know, like you said, it can be very triggering for people and traumatizing. Sometimes people make one mistakes, and those rap sheets and those backgrounds, prevent them from access, and I think Brother Grind Time was on here on Tuesday, and that's what he was talking about, access. And I think this is another part of access, right? Having the opportunity to be able to serve, be in work, and sometimes that mismessaging or misinformation also deviates people from getting involved or really knowing the truth. So I'm just happy that you was able to come articulate that and let community know. You all take questions and answers and things of that nature, because that's very, very important, as our people are being impacted in many, many ways. And these bills do impact our community heavily. We've seen it over the years just from the number of bills that being passed. But with that being said, I want to know, do you all know about the Time Done movement? I know they was working on SB. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure, because my brother and them down there, they doing some phenomenal things. Terrence Stewart and it's a number of them. Denise, a number of them are in it. But Time Done, they've been on our show, and
big shout out to those folks. So again, follow up. There's all kind of ways to get involved. SB 731, sunsetting the criminal records, is not dead, and I would love for us to get them on here to explain further. But essentially, that bill is sunsetting the records at 7 years. We're trying to shorten that. We want to run a vis-a-vis with, kind of like credit, in my opinion. Right, because credit disappears after 7 years. That's a major, like ledger that people use to evaluate you as a person. So we feel like criminal records should be the same. So big shout out to the Time Done movement. All kind of opportunities to get involved. Go ahead, John. My bad. I had to.
That's great. No, them was some powerful brothers. They've been on our show, and again, they opened my eyes to further stuff. I've had my dealings and understanding, and I think that's why it's so great that you came on here, because there are people who, sometimes walk off of probation or parole, and they don't know how to go back and get those things off their records. And sometimes it impacts them 20 years. I mean, I had people saying, man, I was 20 years old, John. I'm 50 now, and I didn't even know that this stuff was still here. So it's very important. These resources, this information that you're bringing to the community is very important, and we need more of those folks to come on and educate our community. And we have a digital receipt now, right? So somebody who's watching can maybe help impact somebody down the line. Just seeing this presentation tonight, very powerful stuff. And this is why we need this to be happening. We got to share these resources. We got to share this information to our community, get it out there, so that somebody that might be impacted can get that help and services. But yeah, shout out to the Time Done movement. Shout out to the crime survivors and the victims of crime. I mean, they doing some powerful stuff, and they educated me about a lot of stuff. My brother Terrence was on here talking about, I got a master's degree and education, but because of my arrest record, I can't go into school and teach, right? And we need more men and culturally appropriate people. And sometimes these laws and these bills impact the community where we can't get men and people who had that experience to work with our young people in the schools and different things of that nature, because our young people, they need some mentors and they need some support. And they need some men and women of the community that look like them, that can bring that information, those testimonies. And that's why I said tonight, your story is so powerful. And, this is what we need in our community. We're breaking down these stigmas and these taboos about when things happen. People make mistakes, but I believe people get up and people can make a change. And we want to make sure that they feel safe and validated. We're coming on here because, again, when we tell our story, that empowers somebody else to open up and tell their story so that we can work together to make change. So with that being said, powerful stuff. If there's anything else that you want to say, I'm just moved right now. You got me moved with this presentation, and it just makes me feel like, hey, how can we do more to make sure that this information gets in our communities, gets to our folks who've been impacted by the criminal justice system and in the workplace, because we know this stuff really happens, and sometimes it gets downplayed and things of that nature. But we want to make sure that people's voices are heard, and that we can move as a community, like you said, with movement of people can really make the change. We see what just happened with this Texas law. If we could get our folks out there and come tell their stories and march together and ask and demand that things happen and change in an appropriate manner, I think we can make movement in this in our community. So thank you very much for coming on. We definitely get your information out to the community. If someone reaches out to us, we'll connect them with you all, as the community has been seeing you all information up on the screen. But again, if anybody reaches out later or watches this presentation later, we'll make sure that we connect them and get you in, get them connected with you all, and make sure that they get the support. But if there's anything else that you want to say, this is the time. You want to promote anything, any upcoming events you all have, this is the time to do it before we end tonight's segment.
No, that's good for tonight. Thank y'all.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, community. Another educational Thursday where it was very intentional, powerful information. We want to thank Katie for coming on and blessing the community. That was great. Great information. Hope to see you all out in community as we get ready to get out there this weekend. There's a number of events happening. Both sides of the conversation. The both sides of the conversation team will be out there tomorrow. West Side Courts, Booker T. Washington. Okay, we're going to be out there. The community are going to have a lot of things happening. We're going out to community. We're not waiting for community to come to us. We're going to the community. So tomorrow, if you haven't been vaccinated, if you haven't had a test, if you're looking for some resources, you want to talk to some of the doctors, we'll have some folks out there. We'll be out there in a number of community organizations. Tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m., we'll be at the West Side Courts over in Fillmore. And we're going to be out there with them supporting our sister Shakira and the rest of the organizations that are coming together to come impact our community, collective impact, a number of organizations coming together. We got Wise Health out there, our sister Brittany, and UCSF, a number of folks coming together, DPH, a number of folks coming out there to bless our community with resources, services, and information. And both sides of the conversation will be out there networking with community, trying to reach the people and trying to get the people connected with these resources. So we'll see you at that event. And then Saturday, we'll be with the East Oakland Collective. We'll be out cleaning up the community. We will be the change. We can't wait for the other folks. We can't walk around talking about what our community look like. So we proud of them for stepping up, and we'll be out there picking up trash, cleaning up with the community, and being part of the community. No matter what city or what community you from, you be the change. Let's get together. We'll come out and support yours as well. And we want to keep our communities clean, and we want to do the things that's going to impact our community. So we'll be out there on Saturday, and then Sunday we'll be at the Bayview Opera House celebrating with Dr. Scott, and we'll be out there with our sister Erica Scott. We'll be out there for the Humbre Block Party. They'll be out there painting and playing dominoes and hanging out and socializing with community. And we'll be moving between the two events. I will at least be moving between the two events, but we'll make sure that everything is still happening. And our both sides of the conversation team will be out there. You want to see some of the phenomenal folks behind the scenes that's doing the work, making this platform move and moving things forward. They'll be out in community this weekend. Come check them out. You'll see them. You get to meet them and see some of the things that they're doing. Phenomenal work. And we're just looking forward to working with other organizations. We're not going to work in silos no more. We're going to work together, and we're looking for the organizations that want to work together and partner together, do some things to impact our community. We're going to uplift each other, and we're going to support our community movement so we can empower and impact our communities. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in to Educational Thursday tonight. I hope you found that information very, very useful. And if you know someone who's been impacted in the workplace or in reentry, coming back to the community, please reach out to the legal aid folks. We'll keep that information running across the screen. And then this Sunday, we'll have our phenomenal conversation on breast cancer awareness. We'll talk to some survivors, some doctors, some people who've gone through it or been through it. I think it'll be a great conversation. Looking forward to that. As I said, Wise Health and Brittany, they'll be holding it down. We'll have LaToya in as well, helping facilitate the conversation. I'll be in and out because I'll be moving through the community events. So I apologize to community. I won't be sitting still, and y'all won't be hearing me ranting and raving about this information, but I definitely will be a part of it. And try to, get my questions and points that I want to put out for community. So we'll be doing our best. It'll be a challenge. It's always a challenge when we out in community, but we'll be there. Again, check out our Both Sides of the Conversation website for all the upcoming information and updates for things that's coming on. Please sign up for our newsletter. Find out what's going on, where we're going to be at, the things that we're going to be doing to impact the community. There are some phenomenal things that we're going to be doing. We are working with different organizations. Things are happening. We're going to be impacting our community, and more information to come out. We don't want to spill the beans yet, but there's some things that we're going to be doing to impact our communities. So I am looking forward. Our Black and brown communities, you should be proud. We got some people that want to work together and willing to put their selves to the side to make sure that community is impacted. So I'm looking forward to that. So you'll be seeing more information will be coming. We have some phenomenal things that's coming up here at both sides of the conversation. So again, thanks to our team who works so diligently behind the scenes, making things happen. And again, shout out to my guy Marco at Silent Tunes. Congratulations on bringing in a new baby. We got a new baby at both sides of the conversation. So we're looking forward to seeing them when they leave the hospital and get back home and with community. And we're just going to keep praying for him and his family and make sure everything is good. And, that's what it's all about, uplifting each other and supporting each other. And Silent Tools is a big part of what both sides of the conversation is doing. And we're looking forward to working with you all. Shout out to all of our sponsors who support us, Collective Impact, the Dream Keeper Initiative, YCD, and a number of other folks who step behind us and support us all the time. I want to give a huge shout out to Mary Rivers, a number of organizational folks that are doing things, our own team, Renata Mason and different folks, Latoya pitching in, doing things to make sure that things happen for a community as we are still building capacity. But we're getting there. We're going to be making some moves so we can definitely do more impact for the community. And we're just excited about seeing what's going to take place in the future here for both sides of the conversation. So thank you all for tuning. We'll see you all this Sunday, and we'll see you out in the community. Check out our social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and you'll see us out in the community as we will be blessing the people, cleaning up the community, and doing a number of things with community. So you can follow us there, and we'll see you all this Sunday. Have a blessed evening, everyone.